I never believed silence could be loud until the day we found the stillness. We were 6 months into our mission aboard the Odyssey, charting the farthest reaches of mapped space. Our orders were routine. Catalog new star systems, study their planets, send the data back to Earth. But nothing about what we saw that day was routine. On the forward deck, I remember Lieutenant Harper's voice breaking the monotony first. "Commander, are those stars frozen?" I looked up from the console and stepped closer to the viewport. At first, I thought it was just sensor lag, some glitch in the imaging system. But it wasn't. Out there, in a vast region of black, entire constellations stood perfectly still. Planets hung in mid-orbit like marbles suspended in glass. A comet blazed across the darkness, its tail frozen in place, as though a child had pressed pause on the universe. Even the dust clouds, normally shifting in their slow cosmic drift, looked like brushstrokes left unfinished on the canvas of space. Our ship drifted closer, pulled not by gravity but by something else, something we couldn't name. "Check the clocks," I ordered. The crew scattered to their stations. Within seconds, reports came in. "All systems operational," Harper said, voice trembling. But Dr. Rena, our astrophysicist, shook her head. "Not all. The clocks are slipping." I glanced at the ship's chronometer. It ticked forward, then back, then forward again like a broken heartbeat. Time wasn't right. "Maybe it's a dead zone," joked Paddle, our engineer, though his eyes betrayed the same unease I felt. Some kind of gravitational trick, but deep down I knew this wasn't a trick. This was something bigger, something older. We slowed to a crawl, just on the edge of the anomaly. Beyond that invisible border, space was a painting, and time had abandoned its brush. And yet something moved. "Commander, look." Harper's voice cracked as he pointed. At the center of the stillness, a faint ripple crossed the void, a shadow against shadows. It wasn't a planet or a star or even debris. It was shifting, breathing almost. I felt it in my chest like a second heartbeat. "What is that?" Rena whispered. Before I could answer, the ship's comm system hissed. A sound, faint but undeniable, echoed through the bridge speakers, a low, distorted thump. Then another, a rhythm, a pulse. "Is that a signal?" Harper asked. Patel's hands flew over the controls, filtering the noise, cleaning it. But it wasn't noise. It wasn't random, it was deliberate. Thump, thump, like the beat of a giant clock, like the heart of something that shouldn't exist in a place where time had died. "Commander," Rena whispered, her voice hollow, "something inside the stillness is alive." No one spoke after that. The bridge fell into silence, save for the faint echo of that pulse. Every one of us stared out into the frozen universe beyond the glass, knowing instinctively that whatever we had found wasn't meant for us. And yet, we couldn't turn away. I pressed my hand against the viewport, eyes locked on the shifting shadow. For a split second, just one, I thought I saw a flicker of movement that wasn't alien at all. It looked like a figure, a human figure. The pulse grew louder. We crossed the threshold at 0300 hours. The moment the Odyssey entered the stillness, I felt it. Not in the way you feel gravity or heat, but in the way your instincts scream at you before your mind catches up. The air seemed heavier. The hum of the engines dulled, like sound itself was being swallowed. Even the vibrations in the deck plates faded until I felt as though we were floating inside a void of glass. "Commander," Harper's voice broke over the comm, tight with unease. "Navigation systems are stuck." "Stuck how?" I asked. "Frozen. The readings haven't updated in the last 60 seconds. According to the ship, we haven't moved an inch, but we had." Out the viewport, the frozen comet loomed closer, still locked in place, its icy tail frozen mid-arc. We were moving, but the universe refused to acknowledge it. Dr. Rena tapped frantically at her console. "It's not just navigation. Every sensor is spitting out data, then looping back to the exact same timestamp. It's like time itself refuses to progress." Patel cursed under his breath. "Well, at least it's consistent." No one laughed. I ordered the crew into silent mode. No unnecessary chatter. Every sound felt dangerous here, like speaking too loudly might draw something's attention. Then the pulse returned. Thump, thump, thump. It echoed through the comm again, deep and steady. A sound that wasn't carried through space, where no sound could travel, but through us. Through the ship itself. "Source," I demanded. Rena's face paled as she scanned. "Everywhere. Nowhere. It's like it's inside the hull." We drifted closer to the ripple at the center of the stillness. The shadow shape shifted again. This time, I knew it wasn't my imagination. It was moving against the laws of a frozen universe, its form rippling like smoke, Magnify, I ordered. The image on screen sharpened. At first, it looked almost like a structure, a tower black as obsidian, impossibly tall. But then the angles bent, folding in ways my mind recoiled from, like it wasn't built for human eyes. And then, there, at its base, movement. Something walking no one dared breathe. They were shapes, tall, thin. Each step they took sent tremors through the frozen void, warping the stillness like cracks spreading through glass. They didn't walk like creatures bound by flesh. They glided, bending slightly, almost as if they were studying us. Harper whispered, "They see us." Before I could respond, the ship shuddered.
Engine surge!
Patel shouted, slamming controls. But the readings made no sense. The thrusters were firing, but in the wrong sequence, as if time was playing them forward and backward at once. The deck lights flickered, on, off, on, then reversing like film spooling backward. Rena gasped, "Commander, look at the crew!" I turned. For one horrifying instant, Harper wasn't moving forward in time with us. His body flickered between frames, standing, then sitting, then mid-step, like he was trapped in a skipping reel. His eyes widened in silent panic before he snapped back, gasping for breath. I was gone, he stammered. For a second, I wasn't here. The pulse grew louder. Thump, thump, thump. And then a voice. It wasn't words, not at first, but something primal. A vibration that sank deep into my bones. My vision swam with fragments of images, an hourglass shattering, a planet aging to dust in a single heartbeat, stars crumbling into silence. And then I heard it clearly. A whisper carried across the void of frozen time. "Why are you here?" Every hair on my body stood on end. We had gone too far. The voice didn't fade. It lingered, curling through the corridors of the Odyssey like smoke, as though the ship itself had learned to breathe. We all heard it. Not over the comms, not in the air, but inside us. A question, repeated with aching patience. "Why are you here?" Dr. Rena clutched her headset, shaking her head. "This is impossible. It's not radio, not quantum bleed, not anything." Patel's hands trembled over the console. "It's Commander, it's in my head." I gripped the armrest, forcing myself to speak evenly. "Focus. Everyone. Stay on task. It's just—" But before I could finish, Harper gasped. His eyes locked on the viewport, pupils wide. "That's not my son," he whispered. I followed his gaze. Out there near the black structure in the frozen void, a small figure stood, impossible, but unmistakable. A boy, 10, maybe 11. His clothes rippled unnaturally, as if stitched from the frozen starlight itself. And though the comet's tail hadn't shifted an atom, the boy raised a hand. Harper staggered forward. "He died last year. He drowned." His voice cracked. "He's calling me. Hold position!" I barked. I could feel the pull too, not toward a phantom child, but something more insidious. A whisper threading through my thoughts, tugging at memories I'd buried under command training. "Your father, he never forgave you." I froze. The voice wasn't wrong. It spoke with the precision of a scalpel, slicing into truths I'd locked away. Rena gasped suddenly. No, you're not real." She ripped off her headset, stumbling back. "Commander, it showed me my brother. The one I lost on Mars Colony Alpha. He was talking to me." Patel slammed his console. "They're inside our minds! Whatever this is, it's pulling from us!" The pulse came again, louder. Thump, thump. With each beat, the air seemed thicker, time itself heavier, dragging on our movements. I could feel it. The longer we stayed, the less ourselves we would remain. "Harper, step away from the viewport," I ordered. He didn't move. His hands pressed against the glass, trembling. "He's asking me to come outside. He says it's safe." The boy's lips parted in a silent whisper. I couldn't hear it, but Harper could. His tears streaked down his cheeks as he whispered back, "I'm coming, buddy. I'm coming." "Restrain him," I snapped. Patel lunged, grabbing Harper's arm just as the airlock lights flickered on by themselves, cycling through as if the ship had chosen to obey the whisper instead of me. Rena screamed, "Commander, look at the time feed." On her screen, the ship's internal clocks were unraveling. Seconds looped, reversed, repeated like a record skipping endlessly. In the med bay footage, I saw our own images replayed, then rewound, then replayed again, like ghosts of ourselves already doomed to repeat. "Why are you here?" The voice pressed again, louder now, resonating through steel and bone alike. I forced a breath, my hands white, knuckled against the chair. "What came to understand?" I said aloud. "What came because the universe is meant to be known." The whisper paused. The pulse stilled. For one terrible second, silence swallowed everything. Then, softer, yet far closer, almost against my ear. Knowledge is not yours to keep. The deck buckled under us. The Odyssey shuddered, groaning as if time itself was trying to tear it apart. And for the first time in my career, I wondered if we had crossed into a place where survival was no longer an option. The ship's hull groaned like it was being pulled apart from every direction. Sparks danced across the panels, and warning klaxons shrieked in jagged loops, starting and stopping mid, wail like time itself couldn't decide if the alarms had already happened. Patel slammed both hands on the console. "Commander, this anomaly isn't just freezing time, it's rewriting it." His voice cracked. "Our engines are firing, but the readouts show we haven't left our starting vector." I felt it too, that impossible sense of being trapped in a moment that wouldn't pass. No acceleration, no progress. Just existence stretched taut like a wire ready to snap. Options. I snapped. "Give me something we can use." Raina's fingers flew across her holo display. She was pale but focused, the kind of brilliance that only shows up when your life depends on it. "The distortion is strongest near the anomaly's core. If we reroute power to the chronometric stabilizers, we might create a localized time pocket around the ship, like a bubble." Patel shot her a look. "That tech was never tested outside simulations. You'll fry every circuit we've got." "It's either that," she said through clenched teeth, "or sit here while time eats us alive." The deck shuddered again. Harper, still restrained near the bulkhead, screamed, thrashing against Patel's grip. "You don't understand. It's calling me. If we just go to it, it'll let us live." I ignored him. My instincts screamed the opposite. Whatever intelligence sat inside that frozen void didn't want us to live. It wanted us to surrender. "Do it," I told Rena. "Stabilizers online. Now." She keyed in the override. The ship's lights flickered, plunging us into darkness for a fraction of a second before a low hum began to build under our feet. The hum rose into a throbbing vibration, and suddenly the chaos outside the viewport shimmered. Stars that had been locked in eternal stillness began to quiver, as though seen through water. The comet's frozen tail rippled. For the first time since entering the anomaly, something had changed. "It's working," Rena gasped. "We've detached from the stasis field." But then the whisper returned, deeper, angrier. "You cannot run." The hum spiked into a piercing whine. Consoles erupted with cascading error codes, whole systems shutting down. On the main display, the boy, outside the viewport, began to fragment, pixels tearing like corrupted data. But his face still smiled, eyes hollow with promise. Patel cursed. "Stabilizer fields destabilizing!" "We've got 30 seconds before feedback overload." "Then use it," I barked. "Burn everything we've got, engines, auxiliary thrusters. Dump the reactor if you have to. Push us out of this field before it collapses." Patel's hands blurred. Fuel lines rerouted, plasma engines screamed as every ounce of power surged into propulsion. The Odyssey shuddered forward, lurching like a drowning swimmer breaking the surface. The viewport blurred. Time itself seemed to drag against us, a molasses-thick resistance. My chest compressed, as if gravity had multiplied tenfold. My heartbeat slowed in my ears. Thump, 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 then a snap. The hum cut out. The ship jolted violently, alarms returning to full clarity, not looping or stuttering. Out the viewport, stars glittered as they should, alive, burning, moving. The comet streaked forward once more, no longer trapped in frozen light. Patel sagged over the console, sweat dripping down his brow. "Well, we made it out." But Rena shook her head slowly. Her screen still flickered with residual readings. "No. Look, on the trajectory plot, the Odyssey's path curved sharply, as if something had redirected us. Not random, but precise. The anomaly hadn't let us go. It had pushed us." "Commander," Rena whispered, "we didn't escape. We were released." Harper laughed from the floor, hollow and broken. "It wants us to see. That's why it let us go. It wants us to come closer." And in the silence that followed, for the first time, I believed him. The Odyssey drifted in silence, engines cooling after their desperate burn. No one spoke. The crew sat frozen, not by the anomaly this time, but by something colder: realization. We hadn't escaped. We'd been pushed. On the navigation display, our trajectory wasn't random. It curved with mathematical precision toward a single set of coordinates, far beyond the anomaly's edge. Patel's voice cracked as he read the data. "It's not a planet. Not a star. Commander, it's a structure." The screen zoomed in. At first I thought it was another sun, burning faintly against the black. But as the resolution sharpened, the truth unraveled. It wasn't a star, it was a sphere, perfectly smooth. Artificial. a construct larger than Earth, glowing faintly with stolen starlight, suspended at the boundary where the anomaly's influence had ended. Rena whispered the word none of us wanted to say, decent fragment. The air thinned in my lungs. Humanity had only dreamed of building such a thing, an energy, harvesting megastructure that could trap a sun's power. But this wasn't ours. This had been waiting, dormant, in the dark, and now it had called to us. Maybe. Harper's voice rasped from the corner. Maybe it's home. His eyes gleamed feverishly, the whispers clearly gnawing at him. It's where they want us to go. Don't you see? It's the reason time stopped, to bring us here. Patel spun on him. You're insane. That thing manipulated space-time just to drag us in. That's not an invitation. It's a trap. The deck lights dimmed as if in agreement, systems flickering under strain. Something about the construct was already pulling at us, its gravitational field too controlled, too precise. I steadied my voice, though my chest burned with dread. Options. Arena's hands hovered above her controls. We can't turn away. The anomaly's residual field, it's tethering us. Even if we burn the engines, it'll bend our course back toward the sphere. As she paused. The only way out might be through it. Patel slammed his fist. We don't even know what's inside! For all we know, it's a star eater, a machine that consumes civilizations. And for all we know, Rena countered, it's the only reason we're still alive. The debate was cut short by a sound none of us should have heard. A knock, 3 deliberate raps echoed from the hull, reverberating through the metal like someone, or something, was standing just outside in the void. Harper smiled. They're already here. I swallowed the terror climbing my throat. The whispers weren't distant anymore. They were crawling along the walls of the ship, seeping into every circuit. And for the first time, I realized whatever intelligence had built that impossible sphere knew us. Not just our course, not just our ship. The void pressed against the hull of the Odyssey like a living thing. Beyond the viewport, the anomaly shimmered, an endless, frozen sea of stars suspended in silence. But at its heart loomed the sphere, vast and black, as though carved out of existence itself. It pulsed faintly, like the beat of something alive. Captain Elena Ramirez tightened her grip on the chair's armrests. Every instinct told her to turn back, but the signal, the steady whisper from inside the anomaly, dragged them closer. Engines holding, reported Oze, his Nigerian accent calm but his eyes betraying fear. But the closer we get, the harder it is to maintain thrust. It's like we're pushing against time itself. Keep us steady, Ramirez ordered, though her voice wavered. In the corner, Dr. Harper leaned forward, face pale in the glow of his console. His hands trembled, but not from fear. His eyes gleamed with a feverish light. It's calling us, Harper whispered, barely audible. It wants us to understand. Ramirez turned sharply. Doctor, stay focused on the data. But Harper barely blinked. His earpiece hummed faintly. He had been hearing the whispers more clearly than anyone else. The crew didn't know he had stopped sleeping, replaying fragments of the signal again and again until his mind blurred with static. The ship crept toward the sphere, its surface rippling like liquid obsidian. The deeper they went, the more reality unraveled. The ship's clocks ticked wildly, minutes stretching into hours, hours collapsing into seconds. On Ose's monitor, the same image repeated, the Odyssey frozen in place, duplicated across fractured timelines. Captain, Ose said, voice tight, we're losing coherence. I'm reading echoes of ourselves, versions of the ship that shouldn't exist. Ramirez's throat went dry. Multiple versions, parallel timelines, not parallel, Harper said suddenly, rising from his seat. His voice carried an unsettling certainty. There us, every possibility, every decision. This sphere, it's the core of time itself. And it's watching us. The words hung in the cabin. No one breathed. A sharp bang jolted the ship. The lights flickered. On the starboard side, a tear in space yawned open, like glass cracking in slow motion. Beyond it, Ramirez glimpsed something impossible, another Odyssey, drifting dark and broken, its hull scarred and torn apart. Is that? Ozzy began. Our future? Harper interrupted, eyes wide. Or our past, it doesn't matter. The sphere is showing us what becomes of those who resist. Ramirez slammed a fist against the console. No, Harper, sit down before I. But Harper was already moving. He unlatched his harness and staggered to the viewport, transfixed by the black sphere.
You don't understand!
His voice cracked with both awe and terror. This isn't death. It's transformation. The whispers, they're not warnings, they're instructions. The crew watched him, horror dawning in their eyes. Suddenly, alarms shrieked, the sphere rippled, and tendrils of darkness lashed out, brushing against the ship's shields. Where they touched, metal groaned and warped, as though centuries of decay occurred in seconds. "Shields failing," Osei shouted. "We can't take another hit." Ramirez's mind raced. Retreat was impossible. The pull was too strong. The only way out was through. "Divert all power to the main thrusters," she ordered. "We'll punch through or we die here." The Odyssey roared as engines strained. The ship shook violently, rattling the bones of every crew member. But Harper didn't move. He pressed a hand against the glass, his breath fogging the viewport. "It's not trying to kill us," he murmured. "It's inviting us in." The ship lurched forward, slicing into the sphere. The moment they crossed its boundary, sound vanished. The engines went silent, alarms ceased, even the hum of the life support systems evaporated. The crew looked at each other in shock, mouths opening but no words emerging. Ramirez's heart pounded. She could feel it, something vast and ancient pressing against her mind. A presence, a gaze. And in that silence, the whispers returned, louder, clearer. Not just to Harper this time, they all heard it. "Welcome." The silence inside the sphere was unbearable. It wasn't emptiness, it was pressure, like the weight of centuries pressing against every nerve. Even breathing felt wrong, as if the air inside the Odyssey no longer belonged to them. The crew sat frozen, listening. The whisper wasn't sound, it was thought, threading itself directly into their minds. "Welcome. Do not resist. Become part of us." Captain Ramirez gritted her teeth. She forced her hands to steady on the console. "Everyone ignore it. Focus on the mission. We're getting out of here." But her voice carried no conviction. Dr. Harper turned slowly from the viewport, his eyes burning with something unnatural. The whisper seemed to pulse through him like a second heartbeat. "You don't understand," he said softly, almost pitying. "This isn't a trap, it's salvation. We've been chosen. Chosen for what?" Osei snapped, sweat glistening on his forehead. "To die. To dissolve into that thing." He jabbed a finger at the black walls of the sphere. Harper shook his head. "Not death. Evolution." Without warning, Harper moved. He lunged toward the engine controls, fingers flying across the interface. The ship jolted violently. "Harper," Ramirez shouted, unstrapping herself. She slammed him against the bulkhead, fury crackling in her voice. "What the hell are you doing?" His face twisted with defiance. "I'm freeing us. The engines, your engines, will tear us apart if you fight the sphere. But if we surrender, it will protect us. Don't you feel it, Alina? It's inside all of us already." She shoved him back, restraining him as Osei scrambled to undo the sabotage. But Harper only laughed, a low, broken sound that made everyone's stomach churn. "You're still clinging to the illusion of control. You think time belongs to you. You think survival means escaping. There is no escape." A sharp klaxon blared. The navigation system flickered with impossible readings, shards of the Odyssey splitting and reforming across timelines. On one screen, Ramirez saw herself already dead, floating in the void with frozen eyes. On another, the crew stood triumphant, back on Earth, their mission a success. And between them, countless other versions, each diverging, each ending differently. Osei's voice cracked. "Captain, these are us. All of us. Every possible choice we could make." Ramirez's stomach dropped. They weren't just seeing futures. They were inside a machine that manufactured every outcome. The sphere wasn't showing them possibilities. It was feeding on them. Harper broke free of her grip, his voice rising with manic devotion. "Don't you see? It wants us because we are infinite. Every version of us, all paths, all mistakes, it collects them. We become eternal." He lunged again, this time toward the emergency override. His hand slapped the release. The Odyssey screamed as panels sealed and the ship's AI began a countdown. Self-destruct engaged, the computer's voice intuned, calm and cold. Ramirez's blood went cold. "He's going to hand us over." The crew scrambled. Osei wrestled Harper back from the controls, but Harper fought like a man possessed, his eyes wild.
Stop resisting! You can't stop time!
"The sphere is God." Ramirez didn't hesitate. She struck him hard across the jaw. Harper collapsed, dazed but still grinning, blood pooling at his lip. "Even if you kill me," he whispered, "you've already joined it. The moment you entered, you belonged to it." The countdown ticked down from 60. "Captain," Osei shouted, "if we don't shut this down, the ship will blow. And in here, we'll scatter across infinite versions of ourselves." Ramirez's hands shook as she worked the override. Every second felt like an eternity, But finally, the countdown froze, then vanished. The crew exhaled in ragged relief. But Harper only smiled through swollen lips. It let you stop it. Don't you get it? It wants you alive. It's not done with us yet. The lights flickered. A low hum filled the cabin, not mechanical but alive. The walls of the sphere pulsed, and for the first time, something moved within the black. Figureman shapes, thousands of them, drifting in the void just beyond the glass. Some were familiar. The crew saw versions of themselves, their own faces staring back with hollow eyes. Others were strangers, wearing uniforms from centuries past or centuries yet to come, all suspended, all whispering in unison, "Join us." The crew froze in terror, and Harper, bloodied but smiling, whispered back, "Yes." The faces outside the viewport did not move, but their whispers pressed harder, flooding every thought. Thousands of versions of the crew, dead, alive, broken, victorious, stared with glassy eyes. It was like looking into a mirror fractured across eternity. Ramirez forced herself to look away. Say options. Now. He swallowed hard, hands trembling over the console. The engines can't punch through. The anomaly eats momentum. But, his voice cracked. If we detonate the antimatter core on a controlled burn, we might create a ripple strong enough to shove us out of sync with the anomaly's hold. Darter. Liang's eyes widened. That's not an escape plan. That's suicide. Better than being devoured by infinity. Osei muttered. Harper laughed from where he lay cuffed to the bulkhead. Blood streaked his chin, but his voice was still venomous. You can't run. The moment you try, the sphere will tear you apart and stitch you back into something else. I've seen it. Versions of me, screaming, burning, forever. Ramirez crouched, locking eyes with him. Then maybe you'll get your wish. She turned back to Ozzy. Prep the burn. Liang stabilized the reactor. If this works, we'll get one shot. The ship groaned as systems powered up, lights flickering like candles in a storm. The crew worked with desperate precision, every second dragging like a lifetime. And then, something knocked. A metallic clang reverberated down the corridor. Then another, like footsteps. Ramirez froze. Tell me that's not. Before she could finish, one of the bulkhead doors buckled outward, denting under pressure. A pale hand burst through, clawing at the steel. Liang screamed. Figures were boarding. Not from space, but from overlapping versions of the ship itself, bleeding in through fractured timelines. Ghost crew. Ramirez fired her sidearm instinctively. The bullet passed through the figure's chest, but the thing didn't bleed. It only smiled, a twisted mirror of herself, its eyes black as the void. Captain? It whispered, with her own voice. Panic surged. The crew fought to keep the intruders back, sealing doors and rerouting power. Each figure that phased into existence was another possibility clawing toward integration. Jose yelled over the chaos. Reactor's hot. 30 seconds until overload. Ramirez shoved the last figure back through the fractured door, slamming the seal. Everyone to crash couches. Now. They strapped in as the ship rattled violently. The antimatter core whined like a beast in pain. On my mark, Jose said, sweat pouring down his face. 3-2. The walls of the sphere pulsed, the whisper rising to a deafening chorus. You cannot leave. You are infinite, you are ours. 1. The explosion was not sound, it was light, tearing through every layer of the anomaly. The Odyssey convulsed, flung sideways like a toy in the hands of an angry god. The viewport filled with a blinding wave bending reality itself. Time fractured. Ramirez saw flashes of herself, hundreds, thousands, dying, surviving. Never leaving Earth, never joining the mission, old, young, alone, celebrated. Every possible life she could have lived collapsed into a single burning instant. And then, darkness. The Odyssey slammed back into silence. The hum was gone, the whispers, gone. Outside the viewport, stars glittered real and steady in the void of normal space. Ozzy gasped, slamming a fist against the console. We did it. Liang sobbed, covering her face. We're out, but Ramirez's eyes narrowed. Because the stars outside were wrong. Constellations shifted. Planets unfamiliar. A galaxy that wasn't theirs. They had escaped the sphere. But they had not returned home. The ship drifted in silence. No alarms, no screams, no whispers. For the first time in what felt like centuries, the Odyssey was still. Ramirez unbuckled and floated toward the viewport. The galaxy beyond was breathtaking. Nebulas bloomed in colors too sharp, too vivid to belong to the skies she had memorized as a child. Stars formed constellations that no human eye had ever traced. This isn't home, Osei said softly, drifting beside her. His face was pale, but his voice held awe. We're not even close. The computer can't find Earth in the charts. We're somewhere else entirely. Dr. Liang rubbed her eyes, tears clinging to her lashes. We survived hell just to end up stranded in a place we don't understand. She pressed a hand against the glass, as though she could touch the stars. No one will know what happened. No one will ever know we made it out. Ramirez turned, her throat tightening. Maybe they don't need to. The crew stared at her. We've seen things no one was ever meant to. We looked into eternity and survived. That means something. If we're stuck here, then maybe this is what we were chosen for. Liang laughed bitterly. Chosen? By what? By that thing. Ramirez shook her head. No. By circumstance. By the fact that we didn't break. They drifted together, the survivors of a story too impossible to ever be told. For a while, no one spoke. Only the steady hum of the ship filled the silence. Odyssey finally broke it. If this is another galaxy, another reality, maybe there's life here. Maybe we're not alone. A Harper, still bound to the bulkhead, chuckled darkly. Oh, you're not alone. You never will be. His eyes glinted with something unreadable. You think you escaped, but you're still carrying it. I can see it in you. Ramirez's stomach turned. She glanced at Ozzy and Liang, then back at Harper. Ignore him. He's broken. But a part of her wondered. Later, when the others slept, Ramirez stayed by the viewport. The stars outside seemed to watch. Some twinkled in rhythms, almost like a heartbeat. Her reflection stared back at her. Only for a moment, she thought it moved slightly out of sync. She pressed her hand against the glass and whispered, "We're not done yet." And in the silence of space, far beyond the reach of Earth, she swore she felt a whisper answer. Not yet. The Odyssey drifted into an alien dawn, carrying the last echoes of time itself, and the fragile hope of humanity, lost in a universe that no longer remembered them.